Here at a moment where I'm definitely daunted in a way, uh, basically because of having so many years where fatigue or circumstances or anxiety or the people around me made my progress so slow, not that I am blaming anything in particular, but that, the hurdles I encountered took time to come to overcome, it took me time to learn to deal with certain obstacles, so being slowed down while still having my mind very active and finding many sources of inspiration which I didn't know what to make of. The bottom line has been that I've just had so many ideas, and there have been so many times that I've taken pen to paper or whiteboard, whatever I had handy, and written things down to organize it, but then my energy fell off, or I had some kind of curveball that I didn't know how to deal with at the time, whatever. So I just got notes upon notes, like this is a sketch pad that I grabbed because it was handy to put stuff in, because sometimes I have notes that seem too cluttered at one point, and like, where do I go with it? I don't know who else might have this issue, but man, I have very good organizational skills, but the various things that life threw my way, I just couldn't keep up with for a while, and now I have to kind of play catch up, I guess, if I want to get ahead of it again. Maybe there are some ideas I can find, or that someone will suggest to me that will make it easier for me to pull ahead. Right now it seems to just come to initiative, but it's like, I've got so much here, and like, I even want to get down to the nitty gritty of how I'm gonna get organized in itself. Maybe it's kind of meta, but it seems useful right now. Like, work out my organizational system, which includes some research, and I think everyone I have to talk to personally has their ideas. If they're useful to me, I'm already applying them, because they're people I've been able to talk to about it for a long time. So, it's either just really digging in and making it happen, or maybe there's some ideas on the internet, I don't know, somewhere in between. But, I include in all this getting my health-related habits on point, hopefully falling back on this stuff less, but, it gives me I guess the dopamine that I'm missing, I wonder, is it that when I don't have as much motivation, there's that gap, and I wonder, is this, am I not, to what extent is it a lack of motivation that I just need to push through, and is it because of the fear or weakness in me somewhere? Is it because of various imbalances related to diet and sleeping and things like that are limiting my natural production of dopamine? And so overall, that being, is it a lack of motivation that I just need to push through how I can? Or is it really just like, maybe I don't need to be doing so much? I think it's very important for us to be, or I should say powerful, for us to be questioning it at this time, The curve of human progress you can track by so many different parameters right now, and we've done a lot, over so many millennia, but obviously it's come at a cost. Most of the major problems we have are byproducts of our constant push for progress. And so, it's somewhere in between, do we step back then, and are these, do we not need to be so ambitious? Should we just enjoy life and be reflective and meditative and step back and look within and look at what's right around us and, do less damage by living more just peacefully and simply? Is that the way, create less of these problems, I really think it's somewhere in between. It's walking some line between the two. So, I cultivate my mindfulness practice. I try to just enjoy some simple things. I take moments to not just meditate, but to just be quiet and just take in what's going around me, like sitting back and watching my cat for a little bit, or playing the ukulele without thinking about any particular goal with it or anything, sipping this drink casually. Taking in the flavor and, realizing but not really dwelling on how artificial it is, but just being okay with whatever it is, feel it, I can taste it. And it's part of what I take on of the society I'm living in, There's different degrees to which we opt in to things, whether you're climbing a corporate ladder or you drop out of society, you can have completely different views on your alignment with societal values, Someone might live off the grid, completely off the grid just because you don't really, you just want to keep to yourself and not be reliant on the system, but you might totally agree with mainstream values and just have your various reasons for living off the grid. And then, you drive into town every weekday for a job as a CEO. Or on the other end, you might be living, completely immersed in the system, just a pretty regular job and climbing up, getting whatever promotions, whether it's a blue collar or white collar thing, and all the while you're looking for the cracks. How can I change things from within? And I think most people fall somewhere in between in both regards. Maybe it's not such a dichotomy for most of us, but I think it plays in for pretty much everybody. I think if you're not living off the grid completely, if you're watching this video, if you use the internet, if you use electricity from the grid, obviously you are somewhat immersed in mainstream society. And so, that being said, I think everyone has some manner of disagreement with the status quo, something that doesn't set right, and you can just accept it as is, even if something doesn't work perfectly for you, you can accept it, which is a great thing to be able to do. You can't fight every little thing in our lives. You can't fight the fact that we, grow older and things like that, or, it's not particularly productive, right? It's not gonna help you feel great to be in resistance to what is, right? But with all of these dichotomies, I think we're all just kind of moving forward. We figure out what is really valuable to us, what our priorities are, what we care about within ourselves, what we want to align with, how we want to live our lives, the kind of people we want to surround ourselves with, what kind of things we want to do for the people around us, what we decide we need from people around us, while realizing we can't expect everyone to meet our needs. We can't meet all of our own needs. Some needs may go unmet. Sometimes we may be offering something to someone else that they don't necessarily want, and we can't necessarily give them what they want. There's all these balances that we work with. It's really interesting. I think it's kind of under the microscope at this time, just because our traditional ways of meeting a lot of needs have been shaken up so much. And I realized that I really didn't change the angle here at all. Here we go. I didn't really change the angle, this is a little bit of fatigue. I got enough energy to do stuff, but not, I guess, super eloquent right now. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so our traditional ways of meeting our needs have changed drastically, and some of the things that were once necessary to, I think one thing is that needs that could only be met in certain ways in the past because of technological limitations or various geopolitical situations, things like that, might have made it so we had to do things one way. More options might have opened up to certain people at certain times, but now there's just so much on the table, and we're left to really look at it and be like, what are all these pieces that we have to work with? We see the crumbling of so many traditions, and we get to ask, what things are necessary, not to just summarily discard traditions just because it's old-fashioned or it's uncomfortable or we associate it with something negative, but also not to obsessively need to preserve it just because it's tradition. Let's take a look at it, like, how is it important to us, this specific thing, perhaps our a certain way of growing food or something, is it detrimental? Does it degrade the environment? But is it important part of your family's history? We weigh these things. How do we go about what's really most important at the core, and how do we tie all these things together and honor the needs of everything that ultimately supports us, our family, friends, communities, our own health, our environment. All these things come back around because it is all connected. And so how do we put these things together? It's very open-ended, right? And I want to get more in the habit of actually looking at the lens here and not myself on here. Man, you see, I want to have this covered. There's so much to figure out, as an old friend would say, life's a rough draft. And I feel like he didn't come up with that, but it's really stuck with me from him saying it. Anyway, if you're tuning into these messages, thanks for taking the time and, you know, appreciating what I have to say, because, you know, obviously I'm saying it because it's something that's meaningful to me and I think can add value for someone. And I hope it is for you, that, you know, it's been worth your 15 minutes or so. With that, you be well, alright? Make of your life what you wish to. Thank you.